Well, this week I needed a little help with my sermon, so I put out onto Facebook, what are your associations with the word fire? And I got many interesting responses. In the category of fire and creativity, many songs that use the word fire were submitted. Someone said a 7-point word in Scrabble is being on fire. Sparks, inner drive, and enlightenment. In the category of emotions, people said love, passion, and rage. In the category of danger, people said volcanoes, flamethrowers, explosions, combustion, brimstone, losing your job, as in you're fired, arson, gunshots, and fever. In the category of civilization, people said warmth, cooking, the hearth, fondue, both chocolate and cheese, pizza ovens, blacksmithing, Polynesian fire dance, rockets and combustible engines. And in the category of mythology or theology, the phoenix, the element of fire, the eternal flame, the fiery swords guarding the way back to Eden, the burning bush, Mount Sinai, and Elijah's chariot. Now Barry Schweitzer practically created a sermon in one quote. She said, "We didn't start the fire." Well, there you go. And I do have to give a shout out to Lauren. She had a sense of humor. She said, going into the Dead Sea after you've shaved. But Brian and Cliff got the closest to the topic today. They said, barbecue. And of course I said, Brian, how many days? 214 and counting, he responded in about 3 seconds. But yes, that is what I want to talk to you about today, which is the fire on the altar. It's a metaphor. It's the nexus between humanity and divinity. It's where we encounter one another. And if we free associate with fire, we uncover the ways in which we encounter God through creativity, through the warmth of our hearths, perhaps through danger. So what I'd like to do is explore some of the appearances of fire in the Torah before we get to the image of it on the altar. One of the first places we see fire is the burning bush. And what do they say about the bush? The bush was aflame, but it was not consumed. And this was a message to Moshe. He was being asked to do something quite challenging. And the bush is telling him, you're going to walk through the fire. It's going to be hard, but you will not be consumed. And Israel, it's going to be incredibly difficult for them to leave Egypt, but they're going to survive the experience. Part of how we encounter God is when we push the boundaries of where we're comfortable, when we get a little bit dangerous with ourselves, and we try something that's incredibly hard for us, and we persevere. When we encounter fire and we are not consumed. That is a place where we encounter God, where we grow and develop from those challenges. Another place that fire appears in the Torah, of course, is Mount Sinai. And we're told that the mountain was covered in smoke because God appeared there as a pillar of fire. God was trying to make God's self tangible to us. You can feel the heat of fire. You can see it blaze, smell the smoke. You can almost taste the smoke. You can hear the crackling. It's trying to make God tangible, but if you ask someone to write down their words of what the experience was like at Sinai, even if they described it beautifully, something would be missing. There's something ineffable about God. That's part of the message of Sinai, that what was hidden is being revealed, but there's still a mystery beyond. There's something that we can't quite put into words. And I've had this experience in holy moments where I have this welling up of emotions, love, awe, humility, but I can't quite explain to you where it comes from. That is the mystery of the encounter between divinity and humanity. In fact, the Torah is sometimes called black fire on white fire by the mystics. The black fire are the letters and words themselves, and the white fire is all the spaces in between. So the black fire is what is prescribed for us to do as Jews. Keep the Sabbath, keep kosher. But the white fire is how we interpret those experiences and what those experiences are supposed to lead us to, which is some sort of encounter with the divine. Another category of fire in the Torah is creativity. There's a midrash that when Moses was sitting on Sinai getting the blueprints for the tabernacle, God drew them in fire. It actually alludes to the colors green fire, white fire, red fire, and black fire, which it means something to the Kabbalists. I haven't gotten that far in my studies yet. And the question is, why did God make the blueprints in fire? Why not something more permanent that Moshe could take down the mountain for them to use? Why not some sort of model or etching in stone? But it was to leave room for creativity. God wanted to prescribe the generalities of what the tabernacle needed to be, but he didn't want us to copy it exactly. He wanted to leave room for us to think of something beautiful to add to it. And so he used fire, which disappeared after that encounter. And I think many of us know that feeling of creativity ourselves. Maybe it's like being a lawyer. You have to stay within the boundaries of the law and the precedents, but you get to apply them in a creative way. Or maybe it's like being a physician. You have to know medicine. There's only so many answers, but how you choose to treat a patient can have some creativity to it. Or maybe it's like being a rabbi and having to interpret Vayikra year after year. And then another idea of fire in the Torah is the hearth, graciousness, hospitality. So there's a midrash about our mother Sarah's tent. It says there was a light that never went out until she died. And then the light was extinguished, but it was rekindled by her daughter-in-law, Rebecca. And Sarah was the one who prepared a meal for the 3 guests that came to tell her and Abraham that they were expecting a child. And this couple was known for always having their hearth open. I think that we encounter God when we open up our homes to people. When our home is a place of security to our family members, a place of friendship for our community, and a place of hospitality for strangers. We encounter God every time someone is thankful or we laugh together in our homes. God is in the hearth. And then, maybe this is a crazy idea, just call me crazy, but maybe we encounter God in the fire of prayer. So let me share a quote with you to explain what I mean. This is Rabbi Neil Joseph Lovinger. He is a 20th century rabbi here in the United States. It's just like intimacy between human beings. Nobody can force it or will it to happen, but one can create the conditions under which it's more likely to happen by extending and opening and softening oneself. That's why humans have to bring the fire to the altar. It must be a mutual reaching out for relationship to be real. A fire from heaven, a fire from the human heart, but one flame. This is an image of true prayer, true service, true love, true intimacy, true devotion. The truest experience of being human, one made in the divine image. It's terrifying and beautiful all at the same time, and it's entirely up to us to bring our fire to make it happen. I will add that if you are interested in encountering God in the fire of prayer, I believe John Wills is teaching a prayer class at lunch, and there's always Minyan tomorrow morning, and there is a spirituality class tomorrow morning as well. But in conclusion, I would like to say, while we have these beautiful images of fire in the Torah, and I think that the metaphor of the altar where we offered up fire to God and God offered fire down to us was about the interlinking of humans and God, which happens through creativity, through occasions when we challenge ourselves, and through opening our homes to each other. Sometimes the flame goes out, right? You're just not feeling that connection. And so Albert Schweitzer, the great philosopher, said, "In everyone's life, at some time, our inner fire goes out. It is then burst into flame by an encounter with another human being. We should all be thankful for those people who rekindle the inner spirit. So if you find that your inner fire is a bit ember-like recently, I recommend that you find someone who inspires you to help you rekindle that fire. May we all be blessed like our ancestors to encounter God in the flame. Shabbat Shalom.